Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Good.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Friday, the 11th day of March, 2022, right here in the Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, again, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. You would have heard Mr. Paul Akal in giving you the traffic report as well, advising you of those areas where traffic is moving extremely slowly. For those of you who may be traveling on Elgin Avenue in the vicinity of Cricket Square, there is some work being done in that area, and parts of it may be reduced to one lane. At least it was that way around about 6:50 this morning. If it is still there, you want to exercise extreme caution when you're traveling in that area as well. Those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you. For those of you who unfortunately have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Ort Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. This morning, it is the radio voice of Silver Fox, Mr. Paul Akal, waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925 3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Just a little bit of housekeeping for this segment of the show. This morning, we will be talking about Early Childhood Assistance Program, a program that is administered and championed by the government of the Cayman Islands. And we have two guests in the studio whom I will be introducing to you in a few seconds as well. Meanwhile, on the topic itself, if you have any questions, observations, or comments, we're inviting you to either email them into us. Email address, as stated before, for the record, that's one word, for the record, at candw.ky, or WhatsApp us 925-3261. We will read your question or your comments to our panel and provide you with answers if answers are necessary, or comments based on what you may have said as well. So the phone lines won't be open for this segment of the show. So it is my pleasure to have in with me this morning Dr. Steve McField. He's here to talk about another subject as well, and we can prep you for that so that you can start to do your research. But some of our media have been carrying the news that on Monday, the 14th of March, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council will be promulgating their decision on two very important cases in the Cayman Islands. The Bermuda case in terms of same-sex marriage, as well as the Day Borden case here in the Cayman Islands as well. My opinion on it is that since the news broke late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, not much has been said, spoken about it or written about it. Compass carried an article. I haven't checked Cayman News Service yet this morning. I'm not sure whether or not Radio Cayman carried the news as well, but it is something that can't be downplayed because it will be the focus of attention and the main topic around the water coolers in offices and everywhere else come next week as well. So we will be discussing that later with Dr. Steve McField, but not to take away, not to distract from the topic that we're going to be talking about this morning, which is Early Childhood Assistance Program called the Ecap. And in the studio with us to have that discussion, we have Dr. Perlin, hope I'm pronouncing that right, Henry Burrell, who's the manager of the Early Childhood Care, and that's the Early Childhood Care, and Education, ECCE unit. Also with us, Miss Deborah Borden, who's the Early Childhood Care and Education Officer. Ladies, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Thank you very much for having us.
And I'm going to ask you again to introduce yourselves. Tell us what you do, your position in the unit, exactly what you do. Okay.
Thank you so much for having us this morning. I'm Perlin Henry Burrell, and as the Senior Policy Advisor and the Manager for Early Childhood Care and Education Unit, it's about policies to effect early childhood education across the island, also offering support to early childhood centers or settings of provision, thus because there are schools with early childhood provision within them, offering that support also to families in the way of training and information and through our Ecap program as is now.
Okay.
And I'm Deborah Borden. I'm an Early Childhood Care and Education Officer in the Ministry of Education in the ECCE unit. And I am in charge of managing the Ecap fund. So that includes processing the forms, or arranging the oversight committee meetings, ensuring that the centers have their payments. I'm also in charge of the registration process for centers, for their health and safety checks, and to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing to ensure that our children are safe. And then on top of that, I support centers.
Okay. So, Dr. Henry Burrell, can we talk a little bit about the importance of our early childhood education? We know in the U.S., and Dr. Steve Macfield has referred to this on several occasions as well, I think it was the federal government, actually, I know it was in New York, but they introduced a program called Head Start. And they saw the importance of that, children getting that start early before they even get into kindergarten or primary school. How important is that?
I think the research is clear and conclusive that early years are indeed learning years, and it's the foundational stage of development. I always refer to the construction of a building, and that's the foundation has to be strong in order for it to withstand, especially now with so many category level storm or earthquake or whatever it is. It's just the same as early childhood. If we have a strong foundation, as we know, the years birth to 3, those years are very important, are critical years within the child's life. So we consider ourselves as early childhood practitioners, whether we're in the field or we are serving at the policy level, to be blessed to have this opportunity to ensure that early years are of highest quality, because not only does it give educational returns, but also economical returns. And we can go to research from like Ekman, who's a Nobel laureate, who did years of research into longitudinal research into following children who had good start. Head Start was one of them. And then say conclusively that if you invest in early years, the returns is not only, as I said, educational value, but economical and social input. So we as a country has always been, and as things change on the world's market and the world stage, we have been adapting our practices and including research-based approaches to ensure that in the Cayman Islands, our children and families have access to high-quality education.
Okay, and we know that, of course, not everyone can afford that. Hence, many people look towards government for that additional support, and some people feel that it is incumbent on government, if it is to provide the services and the level of expectations that its citizens have of them, then the government should step in. So in this case, the government has done exactly that. So could you give us some background information now on the assistance program?
All right. One of the things, as you said, is the mandate of government in any country to ensure that its youngest learners are of, because there's something that is important, that if our youngest learners, our children have a good start in life, that head start we call it in life. So I always talk about start them right and end them right. So Ecap comes about to ensure that children can have access, and especially our vulnerable children continue to have access to education and leveling that play field, so that families who may be experiencing difficulties in spite of that can access. And so over the many years since it has started, it's not new. Many persons have been beneficiary of it. Persons have been accessing it. And one of the good things about Ecap as it is now is that it's open throughout the year, because situation changes from time to time. So a family who was able, especially in the climate in which we are living now, may be able to access then, I may not see the need or have the need for assistance as time goes on, may realize now that I have a need. So this funding is there that they can access and process. And Ms. Darrell will tell you more about Ecap.
Okay. Sure.
Right. Okay, so Ecap is for qualifying Caymanian children who are 3 years old before September 1st of the academic year, so which the funding is to be paid. So the funding, those that qualify, the funding can pay from September 1st of the year. So right now the applications are open for September 1st to 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So it's offered for a 10-month period. The children do need to be 3 prior to September 1st, so that's sometimes a tricky situation, because, children turn 3 on September 1st or on September 2nd. So right now, on March 1st, we opened the application process for the next coming academic year. We currently are still open for this academic coming year. If you're applying for September 2022 funding, the child's date of birth should be between the 1st of September 2018 to the 31st of August 2019.
Okay, and what happens if a child finds himself falling in that little gap there? Is there any flexibility, any discretion that can be used so that the early education part of it isn't delayed in any way?
Yeah, so Ecap funding is for the year prior to government reception. So government reception you have to be by the 1st of September of that year, right? So we're for the year prior. So if you are younger than that, generally our fund does not cover. But there are some extenuating circumstances listed on the application form on page 2, which if you are younger and you meet any of those extenuating circumstances, you can apply.
Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I want you to talk about those extenuating circumstances and what can be done as well, because I'm sure that our listening audience are quite curious about that, because someone is likely to fall into that category as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Following World War II, air transportation made its debut in the Cayman Islands, with the first seaplanes landing in the North Sound. The PBY Catalina seaplane arrived thanks to the efforts of King Parker Jr. from Tampa, who piloted the first passenger planes with his wife as the stewardess. In 1947, Parker sold his interest to a group led by Owen Bobby Roberts. Roberts would later spearhead the lobbying campaign for funding for the Georgetown Airport, which was officially opened in March 1954. The airport was aptly named Owen Roberts Airfield in honor of Roberts, who was tragically killed when his plane crashed on takeoff a year earlier.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I go send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Zara. If you are students in Cayman between 3 and 16 years old and love reading books like I do, welcome to the first Rotary Central Video Book Reports competition. Record your short video, no more than 90 seconds, on why you love your favorite book, what made you excited, or what made you laugh. There are lots of fabulous prizes. Too many to talk about now. For further information and sign up, go to Rotary Central Cayman Islands Facebook page or email david.rotarycentral@gmail.com. Record your book report video and send it by March 31st. So easy, so fun. The Rotary Central Cayman Islands Video Book Reports Competition. Rotary serves to change lives.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacist will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing the Early Childhood Assistance Program, Ecap. That discussion has taken place with Dr. Henry Burrell, who's the manager of the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit. Also with us, Miss Deborah Bawden, who is the Early Childhood Care and Education Officer within the unit as well. So, Ms. Bawden, I had to interrupt you to go to a commercial break, but we want to talk about the program itself and some of the requirements, some of the obstacles, if you want to call them that are hurdles that people will have to navigate.
Okay, so it is an application process. So they have to complete the application, which can be found online. It can be found at Early Childhood Care and Education Centers, the Government Administration Building. They can request it by email by emailing us at ecap, ECAP, @gov.ky, or they can phone us. They can scan the QR code on the flyers that will be out, and that it's also available at various locations that provide services to children, such as FRC and EIP and the Department of Education Services.
Is there a deadline for that application to be received by you?
So as Dr. Burrell said, it's open application period. So there isn't a deadline, but to receive their response, the answer back as to if they do qualify, there are set time frames. So if they submit their application between March and April, they'll hear back by the end of May. Okay. We are highly encouraging everyone to submit their applications by the end of June so that they can have the response in place for September 1st for the funding to begin. If they submit it after June 30th, there's not a guarantee that it will be in place for September 1st. So we're encouraging them to please submit the forms before June 30th, but that's not an end date. They can submit it at any time. As was said earlier, if their situation changes and in October they find I need to apply for funding, then they can submit their application at that time and reach out to us at any time throughout the ECAP period.
Okay. Now, is there a means testing process that is employed during for this?
Very
Can
good
we
question.
talk about that?
Yes. So it is a means-tested fund. So it's means tested by the number of dependents you have and the total income that the home that the child lives in earns.
Yes.
Sorry. So if you earn above $4,998, then you may not qualify for the funds. Personal expenditure is not considered, so we look at your income, but we do take into account your deductions for health insurance and for your pension. So if you're earning just over $5,000, but you know that you lose over $100 for health insurance each month, and then the pension deductions, whether they're in place now or will be in place when the pension holiday ends, then you could still qualify if that takes you down below the 4,998.
Okay, what about if you have additional dependents and things of that nature? I don't want to jump ahead of you.
No,
so
that's okay. That's okay. So it goes from 1 dependent to 4 dependents. So there's 2 categories of funding they can qualify for. One is supplementary, which is $500 per month during the funding period. And the other is basic, which is $305 per month during the funding period. So depending on how many dependents you have, you can get at different levels. So the chart for the financial means testing criteria is right on the application form, so everyone can see it clearly. It's on page 5 of the application form.
They can basically self-assess then.
Yes, you can self-assess and see where you fall. So if you say you were earning $3,000 a month and you had 1 dependent, that would put you at basic of the $305 per month. But if you had 2 dependents, then you would be at supplementary with the $500 per month. Okay? So the chart breaks it down and shows you where you would fall, whether it be supplementary, basic, or none.
Okay. And can we talk about how these monies are dispersed, and how do you view the various institutions that that are involved in this, the preschool entities that are involved? Can we talk a little bit about those?
Sure. So the funding is tied to the child. So when the funding is granted, the funding is for the child. So the parent or the family finds the best fit of a center for their child, and then the funding will be sent to the center. So it goes directly from the Ministry of Education to the center, okay, on the monthly basis. It's paid for them. The centers are registered through the Education Council, so parents can ask to see their registration certificate to know that they are in good standing with the Education Council. The funding is available for the early childhood care and education centers. There's also some service providers that have playgroups that are licensed by health facilities, such as Chatterbox and Cayman ABA and the Wellness Center. Okay. So that is available as well, because it's an early childhood care and education program that's working on the developmental and stimulation of the children's development.
And I think that's a very important point, Ms. Darrow, in terms of telling that there are other provisions outside of early childhood institutions, educational institutions. Because as a country, we know that education is important, but it's education and care. So there are some children on different levels of the developmental continuum, and they may not be able to fully access their education in an early childhood institution as yet. And so working with these other agencies, we're able to still give Ecap or support the family through Ecap to meet the costing of going to these other provisions. Okay.
Based on your experience, and I know that the length of time that you have been within this unit is limited, but in the past, has the program been under or oversubscribed in terms of applicants, persons applying for this assistance?
That's a good question.
If you look at our data back to 2020, so let about say 2020 coming forward, there's a steady number of applicants over the period. it was last year that we had a slight decline, which was kind of a little bit keeping with circumstances, but maybe parents were more in terms of COVID, keeping their children home, so they never had the need to apply at that time. But there has been because if I'm keeping my child home because of COVID, if I don't want to send the child home, then there was a slight decrease, not significant, slight decrease in the number of applicants. But as of last month, I think we have reached
we're at 205 applications for this current period that's open.
Okay, and if all of those, that total 205 were approved, do you have sufficient funding for it?
We have sufficient funding at this time for it.
Yeah, we are pleased to say that we have funding for our children. And because we pride in saying that we want to make the lives of those we serve better. And this is one way to ensure that families can keep their jobs and children can be secured. So at this time, we don't have a limitless amount of
yeah, we don't want to get that impression, no.
But do we have a steady flow, let's say that, like a traffic, steady flow of funding to meet the needs of those who apply. So we encourage parents to apply in time, as Ms. Darba says.
Okay, excellent. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Folks, when we return, the conversation about Early Childhood Assistance Program with Dr. Henry Burrell and Miss Borden will continue, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Radio Cayman time check is now 8 a.m. This time check is brought to you by our friends at Foster's.
March in Cayman is hot, but at Foster's, it's frozen.
Frozen Food Month is back, and you could win one of 5 $250 Foster's cards. To enter, just purchase any 5 products from the frozen department from now until March 31st.
You could grab frozen pizzas for dinner, frozen berries for your morning smoothies, or frozen plant-based sausages for something different.
Exactly. Just purchase any 5 frozen products and enter online at fosters.ky/Frozen Food Month.
Foster's. Better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Isolation and quarantine exit testing centers have updated their hours effective today. Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Solins reports.
The drive-thru at Truman Bodden Sports Complex will be open 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Bodden Town Civic Center and Ed Bush Sports Complex 1 to 2 p.m. They will be open daily. Persons reporting positive LFTs can attend one of the 3 community testing locations. Any person testing positive on a lateral flow test must receive a confirmation PCR test. Those needing PCR testing for outbound travel or other optional screening may attend the PCR testing clinic at 131 Center McClendon Drive, Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., on Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Sundays, it is open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on public holidays. If you test positive on LFTs, you must isolate immediately and report the result on exploregov.ky. To check out isolation criteria and for more information about COVID-19 testing and vaccination clinics, visit hsa.ky/public-health. For Radio Cayman News, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
As part of this year's Honoring Women's Month activities, the Family Resource Center is kicking off its new mentorship program today. More from CIGTV's Donna Bush.
In continued celebration of Honoring Women Month, the Family Resource Center is holding an event this Friday to celebrate the launch of their new mentorship program. Hosted by the Department of Counseling Services and a portfolio of the Civil Service, the event hopes to bring together invited guests within the Civil Service who've been identified as potential women mentors and mentees. Charmaine Miller, Clinical Supervisor of the FRC, has this to say.
This year, this mentorship program really sits nicely with the overall vision of Honoring Women Month, which is Empowered Women Empower Women. And so we are inviting civil servants who are interested in being mentors and mentees to join us on the March 11th for the official launch launch of the mentorship program within our civil service.
Now remember that you can still participate in the hashtag Break the Bias Pose Challenge. Participants are challenged to take a photo crossing their arms and tag hashtag FRC Cayman. Now the competition continues throughout March and a winner will be selected on the 31st of the month. For further information, be sure to follow the Family Resource Center and Cayman Islands government on their Facebook and Instagram pages.
Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. Russian forces have been expanding their attacks in Ukraine, striking 2 towns in the west of the country. Moscow says it hit military airfields in the western city of Lutsk and Ivano-Frankivsk. Elsewhere, the central city of Dnipro was hit by 3 Russian airstrikes, damaging an apartment block and a kindergarten. A senior US defense official has also said the city of Chernihiv, north of Kiev, is now isolated. Russian state media are reporting that the Ukrainian city of Volnovakha has been captured by Russian-backed separatist forces. There's no independent confirmation of the capture of the city, which is a northern gateway to the besieged port of Mariupol. Satellite images by an American company of a Russian military convoy near Kiev appear to show it's been mostly redeployed to nearby areas, potentially signalling a renewed push towards the Ukrainian capital. President Putin has backed proposals from his defence minister to get what he called volunteers from the Middle East to fight in Ukraine. Mr. Putin said Russia should facilitate transfer of such fighters. He accused the West of organising mercenary forces to fight in Ukraine. The United Nations Human Rights Office said it was concerning that Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has temporarily changed its rules to allow violent speech by people in Eastern Europe over the Ukraine invasion. The UN spokesperson said her office would raise the issue with the company. In Moscow, the Kremlin expressed astonishment. Elsewhere, China's Prime Minister has warned that the country is finding it much more difficult to maintain high growth. Li Keqiang, speaking after the annual parliamentary session, said the world was facing increasing uncertainties. Last week, Beijing announced its lowest GDP target in decades at a modest 5.5%. That's the latest world news from the BBC.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Health City at Cayman Bay. Open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 12 noon to 4 p.m. Sunday. Now offering confirmatory PCR tests free of charge at our testing center 2 doors down. Our friendly and professional care teams offer a wide range of specialties at our state-of-the-art Cayman Bay Clinic and PCR test results within 4 hours. We are here to help you save time and feel better. Health City at Cayman Bay. World-class healthcare at a convenient location within your reach.
The Ministry of Planning would like to remind the community that Cardinal Avenue will be closed to vehicular traffic from Monday, 14th of March, to facilitate the Business District Enhancement Project. Motorists can continue to access Central Georgetown from Seafarers Way via Fort Street or Mary Street. Cardinal Avenue remains open to foot traffic for access to shops, cafes, and businesses. For more information and project updates, follow the Georgetown Revitalization Initiative on Facebook and Instagram.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcave, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Brit K. Good like that.
All right, good morning, my friends. Let's take a look at your weather. Compliments of our friends at CG Brit K. Present temperature 79 degrees Fahrenheit, but it feels like about 82. Winds are out of the east-southeast at 8 miles per hour. Relative humidity 83%. Barometric pressure at 29.97 and holding. Light to moderate southeasterly winds and seas are expected across the Cayman area as a high-pressure system drifts over the central Atlantic Ocean. So our forecast for today, partly cloudy skies, 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the mid-80s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Then looking at tonight, partly cloudy skies, 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the mid-70s. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. We are currently in a high tide. Low tide is coming up at 12:56 this afternoon and high at 5:51 this afternoon. For tomorrow, low tide is at 12:03 a.m., high at 7:04 a.m., low at 1:18 p.m. and high at 6:31 p.m. Sunset this Friday evening is at 6:33. Sunrise for Saturday morning at 6:36. The outlook is for similar weather through Saturday night. A cold front is expected to enter the Northwest Caribbean on Saturday and near the Cayman area by Sunday morning before weakening. An increase in showers is likely from early Sunday morning. And that, my friends, is your latest weather, courtesy of our friends at CG Brit K.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit K, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Brit K. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
All right, once again, good morning to you, my friends. It's Friday, March 11th. Let's take a look at the traffic situation right now. Of course, looking at the East-West Arterial, Brighton Boulevard area, as usual. Traffic is still heavy out on that side with stop-and-go traffic. Even traffic coming out of the Prospect area, still crawling. That is, of course, due to the paving of the third lane, just opposite Rubis Peanuts, that vicinity, that stretch there. And once getting past that blockage, some of you going through South Sound will experience some free flow of traffic until nearing Georgetown. Expect some light traffic there. Those continuing along Shamrock Road, turning north towards the Linford Pearson, good movement of traffic there. Until getting closer to Agnes Way, expect some traffic there as well. Crew Road, similar. As you get onto Crew Road, some traffic is moving until it slows up nearing the Georgetown area. Getting close to the airport. Westward bound traffic is stop and go in some instances. Turning northward, trying to head on to Shedden Road or head towards the airport. Expect some light traffic in that vicinity. The actual road to the airport, light traffic there. And of course, to the four-way stop, got some traffic in that vicinity. Looking down at the Esley Tibbetts Highway, got some traffic coming into the Georgetown area as it's slow-paced. And the Butterfield roundabout busy as well. Eastern Avenue, Shedden Road, streets are getting busy with the influx of traffic. And of course, West Bay Road also looking good with traffic flowing in both directions. Of course, traffic along North Church Street and into Seafarers Way as you make your way in. course, your traffic report brought to you by our good friends at Subway.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven-roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap, prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Zara. If you are students in Cayman between 3 and 16 years old and love reading books like I do, welcome to the first Rotary Central Video Book Reports competition. Record your short video, no more than 90 seconds, on why you love your favorite book, what made you excited, or what made you laugh. There are lots of fabulous prizes. Too many to talk about now. For further information and sign up, go to Rotary Central Cayman Islands Facebook page or email david.rotarycentral@gmail.com. Record your book report video and send it by March 31st. So easy, so fun. The Rotary Central Cayman Islands Video Book Reports Competition. Rotary serves to change lives.
Attention Caymanian job seekers. Do you want to know what jobs are available right now in the Cayman Islands? See all available jobs listed by occupation in the Jobs Cayman job directory printed in this week's local newspapers. Pick up the newspaper to see all available jobs listed by occupation. Then go to www.work.ky. That's worc.ky to register and apply online.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We are discussing the Early Childhood Assistance Program, Ecap. That discussion has taken place with Dr. Perlin Henry Burrell, who is the manager of the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit, also with us. Ms. Deborah Borden, who's the Early Childhood Care and Education Officer. We're talking about the program which the government of the Cayman Islands has invested heavily in to ensure that the most vulnerable in our society and those who need the most protection in our society are children, that they are covered, starting with early childhood care and education as well. So, Ms. Borden, we were going over the criteria for individuals or families to qualify for this program and this grant. I don't know if Dr. Henry Burrell wants to add anything before we go back over to Ms. Borden.
Well, I think we'll go over back to Ms. Borden.
Okay, so we've spoken about the eligibility requirements, for it. Some of the other things that I believe that we would want you to also talk about is explain how beneficiaries are selected and how the funding is dispersed. And I think you did touch on that before, but we may want to go into a little bit more detail. And also what is expected of those persons who are successful in their application, as well as the contact information. We're going to do that in a wrap-up in terms of if persons have any questions or need any guidance or anything like that, who to contact and where. Okay.
Great. All right. So the application needs to be completed by the family. It does require that the legal guardian sign off on the application. And it's submitted along with some documentation. Mm-hmm. So the documentation includes a copy of the child's birth certificate, which helps us to confirm the child's date of birth, And then also the right to be Caymanian, so proof of right to be Caymanian. So that one can look different for different people. It might be an acknowledgement letter for the child. It might be an acknowledgement letter for the parent. It might be Cayman status for the parent before the child was born. It might be going back to the grandparent's birth certificate. So that one depends on your situation, but on the application form on page 1, it gives you various different forms of ways to submit that. Copy of the parent's government issued ID, which can be a driver's license, the picture page of the passport, or the voter's ID. And we also require if they're employed, proof of employment. So that would be one job letter or 2 recent pay slips. If they're unemployed, they're required to be registered with work as a job seeker extended. If they're self-employed, then it's a notarized statement written by the self-employed parent along with a copy of their trade and business license. And they also need to submit other income. So if they're receiving child maintenance or they're paying out child maintenance, that needs to be sent in. Or if they have a rental property that they're earning income off of as well. Okay. And then we had touched, I think, a little bit earlier on the extenuating circumstances.
Yes.
So I just want to get back to that one. So if they look at the application and they don't fall in, the child's not quite that age or their income is a little bit higher, they can also look at the extenuating circumstances to see if they can qualify in that situation. So those are listed on page 2 of the application form. So that would include things like if there's a health issue or concern with the parent that affects either their earning income or their expenditure, because if they're spending so much on a month on medical bills, then we will take that into consideration. It would also include a serious family emergency like a sudden death or domestic abuse, a sudden job loss of a parent, the sudden acquisition of additional dependents, multiple children that are the same age, and that can be children born within 12 months of each other, or dependents with special educational needs, okay, because that can also have some additional expenses on the family. So they need to have a look at that page 2 if they're just outside the parameters for qualifying under the regular situation.
Yes.
I'm losing my words.
Yeah, and earlier you spoke about how the funds are dispersed, and you indicated that those go directly to the institution, not to the applicant itself.
Yes.
So the possibility for abuse of the system is basically almost nil, I would say, Dr. Henry.
Yeah, so the funding itself is managed by the Ministry of Education through the Early Childhood Unit on a monthly basis. There is a payroll, that's what the word is, Ms. Dara, is prepared by Ms. Dara here, and go through the relevant processes, and the checks are prepared by our able financial department and then dispersed to the centers. And the register is collected from the centers with the children's attendance.
Okay. So can we talk a little bit now about the expectations of the applicant? But what I'd also like to include in that, what are the expectations of the institution itself that is going to be providing this service to you? How are they monitored? I think you may have mentioned earlier that they're usually licensed by the Education Council, as well. So let's talk about expectations on both sides.
Right. I'll talk about expectations as it relates to the centers. So we're expecting our educational institutions that offer early childhood provision, whether they're getting children with Ecap funding or parents are paying, they're expected to be of the highest standards, and they're monitored through the early childhood unit. So we are assigned to officers are assigned different centers to oversee. We offer in center support. We offer through workshops and other support. They're also quality assured through the Office of Education Standards, and those reports are published. And they are held accountable by council and the Ministry of Education to ensure that they are operating at the highest standards.
Do you have the personnel available that you can do, let's say, spot visits to these places? Just show up one day, unannounced. Within
our capacity, within the unit, we do that. We go to our centers. Some of our visits we have inherited. Well, a very good relationship that started long ago with our center. So we can go in the morning, 7 o'clock. We can go in any day, any minutes, and what we see, there's no elements of pretense, and we have a good relationship when things are really not the way they should be, to say, how can we support you getting back in line.
Now, do any of these institutions, for instance, have are set up in such a way that maybe after they go through this stage that they have another step forward? You talk about reception in government schools. Let's say, for instance, if there was a private school that was involved in Ecap, or do we have those that are involved in Ecap, and then the child has the opportunity to move on with that same institution to further their education?
We do have children in centers that are attached to private schools that would have that opportunity. The Ecap funding would not be available for the child once they're at that age group, at the compulsory school age. That would not be available to them, so then they can seek other funding sources.
Now, Dr. Henry, I know you're the research person and everything. Do we have any indicators in terms of how well children who are funded by this program, who are included in this program, how well they do compared to those who are not?
Well, that sounds like a very good research topic to start. And so I'll be taking it as a starting point because Ms. Darber is ably collecting data, because that's something we recognized when we were putting our strategy together, so that we need to have that kind of longitudinal data on our children to see, has our program, Ecap program, make a difference, and not just from our own intelligence, but more so gathering the data. So that is, well, thank you very much for asking that question, but we are empowering, collecting the data. And so the way the form is structured this year, we want to look at it not only at the benefit to the children, but the families. So we are gathering data this year to say which district these families are coming from. Do we need to look at putting in social interventions in terms of early childhood provision, like we have, for example, like Smart Start, different aspect programs to ensure that the family themselves are equipped to help the children beyond the centers. So we are gathering our data this year, and the next time we'll come back, we'll be able to share.
Doc, you have any question for a panel? I know we off air we did talk about the Section 17 of the Constitution and what it says there, because we note, and of course, these ladies here, they're just the administrators, they're not the policymakers. Yes. But we note that child has to be Caymanian in order to qualify. And how does that sit?
I am impressed with the ladies and what they're doing. I didn't know that they actually had this in schools. I was not aware of this. But the only thing I see missing is the nutritional part of it, the health part, which is that at that age that they need to have the nutritional part implemented, because that is when they're started to grow, and they need to be mentally and physically fit, and not just the care part of it. Yeah. So I wish that there's money. I hope that there's money that can be implemented, and that seems to me would be something that would not be hard to do. And what I mean by that is having a nutritionist at the schools. Each school should be. You don't have to be there full time, but nutritionists to see that the children get the nutrition that they need, the proteins that they need, all those things that they need, the vitamins that they need in the mornings when they come, because some of those children come from homes that don't have that. I hope that you're able to get that. So.
One of the things in the interim, because we're all about finding solutions. So in the interim, we have been training our parents through the Growing Brain and what that means for the development of it, as you talk about nutrition. And so through that, through that little training, 7 weeks training, we are just now having the parents being more aware. So within the means of what they have in the interim, what the parents have in their homes, just talking about how do you ensure that you're into brain development, because there's a big tie between, as you know, nutrition and brain development.
Yes.
So we are giving the information, and so when they go to the supermarket in the interim, they begin looking at how they can make the best use of what they have there. But we are hoping, like you, and as things change and the climate changes, as policymakers within the Ministry of Education, we will endeavor to ensure that no child is left behind. And it may not be today, but we live in hope that it may be tomorrow.
Thank you.
So the amount of money that is dispersed to the entity, what is that designed to cover, and how did we arrive at that figure?
Those figures were calculated, I believe, in 2019, based on we had an accountant working on it, and they came up with it. That was a little bit before my time, so I can't give you all the parameters around that. It does cover a portion of the funds of the monthly fee at the center. There are a few centers that are within that $500 range, but parents are expected then to pay the difference. So if your center costs $700 and you've been granted $500, then you'd be responsible for the $200 extra each month. And then just to go back to the question about what parents are expected to do. So they are expected to register their child at the center. Our unit is not registering the children for them. They need to go find a center that's the best fit for their child. They also need to inform our center, our unit, if their contact details change so that we can get in touch with them. They need to inform the center and the unit if they want to change centers. Because if you want to change centers, you need to be aware of what the withdrawal procedures are so that your fund can maintain with you. So if a center says you need to give us 30 days written notice, they need to give that 30 days written notice, and then after the 30 days, the fund will move to the next center with the child. They're also encouraged to attend their PTAs at the centers, encouraged to take part in appropriate programs through the FRC. So those are some of the things there.
And I noticed you say they're encouraged, so it's not a requirement. It's not something that you necessarily monitor to say, well, when next month's funding may not be granted because we noticed that all you're doing is dropping the child off, and that's basically it.
Then we have had those conversations, and then we wonder to ourselves, who are we punishing if we decide you can't get your funding because the mom doesn't drop for whatever, just drop and go for whatever reason. So we have had those conversations, and then we said encouraged is the right word, because we don't want to penalize a child because a mom, for whatever reason, sometimes lots of reasons, that parents may just leave the child and go, not be able to attend and stuff. So we encourage parents to seek for help, seek for support from these places, attend PTA, have those conversations, and we also encourage our practitioners within the centers to have conversation with families. But what we're punishing here is came into question, and we said the child has a right to education, so let's give the funding.
Okay, now I know you two dedicated ladies are extremely busy, but this is such an important topic and we're getting so engrossed in it. I'm going to hold you for another at least 12 or 15 minutes. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to let you go at 8:45 if that's okay with you. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
JN money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
This is Georgina Kerford, your Miss Cayman Islands Universe, and I'm inviting all young ladies between the ages of 18 and 27 to register to compete in the 2022 Miss Cayman Islands Universe pageant. Applications are located at our website at MissCaymanIslandsUniverse.com. Winning the crown has been a life-changing experience for me, one that has paved the way to many opportunities. Be a part of this amazing journey. The deadline for registration is the 31st of March. Thank you to our sponsors, Compass Media, Radio Cayman, and the Cayman Islands Government Ministry of Tourism.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the extended segment of the show this morning, talking about Ecap. That conversation taking place with Dr. Henry Burrell, who is the manager of the Early Childhood Care and Education Center, or unit, sorry. Also with us, Miss Deborah Borden, who's the Early Childhood Care Education Officer. We have been talking about the application process, and I'm going to ask Ms. Borden to again go over the application itself, the availability of it, the date lines in terms of when people can apply as well.
Okay, great.
And also contact details.
Okay, great. So the application process is open now, so you're encouraged to apply as soon as you're able. The applications are available online. They're available at Early Childhood Care and Education Centers. They're available at the Government Administration Building. You can request them by email by emailing ECAP at gov.ky, ECAP at gov.ky, or you can phone 244-3155 or 936-0267. You can scan the QR code on the flyers, and they're also available at various locations that provide services to children. And then once you have completed your application and gathered all of those documents, you can submit them by email to the Ecap at gov.ky. You can drop them in person to the Government Administration Building, or you can also WhatsApp them to the 936-0267 number. And I'm trying to remember the second question.
Well, the period.
Okay,
the period.
The time frame.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry. So the time frame. So if you submit your application between March and April, you will hear back by the end of May. If you submit your application in May and June, you'll hear back by the end of July. And if you submit your application July to August, it will be by the end of September. Any applications submitted after September, you will hear within a month of the form being received. But we are encouraging that you drop them, submit your application prior to the end of June so that you can have that funding in place. And you don't have any worries over the summer. You know how to budget yourself for the next 10 months going forward. So.
And again, can we go over the part where there may be situations where the funding may not be sufficient depending on choices that are made, and those individuals who find themselves in that position should be prepared then to supplement.
Yes, it's important to figure out your budget so that you can afford it throughout the year. So different centers, all our centers have their fees either posted online, or you can call them and ask them what their monthly fees are. The fees, there's quite a wide range in Cayman of fees. So once you have found the best fit of the center for your child, then you need to ask them what the monthly fee is, and then figure out how much you will owe each month and how you can budget that out throughout the 10 months from September to June.
Okay, and I know off air you did talk about Dr. McField, spoke about nutrition, and you did mention that as well. I'd like you to share with our audience.
So I was just mentioning that our centers are aware of healthy eating, and when we are visiting and we're doing our spot checks, when we're doing the registration, the majority of our centers are encouraging that healthy eating at the first snack of the day. They have to have fruits, they have to have something healthy to eat. So we're getting there. And
it's also one of those areas under the Office of Education standards that they look at the provision as it relates to nutrition, what the children are having on, if the center provides or any kind of meal, or what children are taking in. So it's a pathway, it's a journey into getting better, and as we learn more, we do more. Okay. So we'll continue to evolve.
And what is your satisfaction level as far as the services that are provided so far by these entities?
All right, so they're in different levels. I didn't take my statistical data here, but they are in terms of their quality. All right, so when we look at the quality, we have a smaller proportion at the expected level, because in terms of the Quality Assurance Agency, Office of Education standards. So you'd have a smaller number at the top, being good or excellent, majority are satisfactory, and a few at weak. And so we're working through those centers that are not there as yet, because the expectation is that they're going to get there. So we have programs in place. So, for example, we have the Early Childhood Leadership Lab, where we are training and developing our center leaders and owners to have that kind of approach as it relates to leading change and managing change in our centers. We also have the e-cafe, that's what the Teaching and Learning Cafe. We are now focused on the early childhood leaders, the teachers, our lead teachers within our centers, to ensure that they can lead change and they can be leaders of learning. We also have other programs that we are working with our associate partners to ensure that, for example, the Wellness Center, with a collaboration, we are offering the Growing Brain to the community. We had over 100 mothers and caregivers who have signed up for that program. We've worked with Inclusion Cayman to ensure early years SENCOs are persons who are designated lead to support SEN, are trained on a monthly basis. So we have this, what do we call it again?
SENCO Connection.
The SENCO Connection. So we are covering the field, because what we are saying, if we support our center owners and managers and practitioners, because they come to us with different levels of qualifications and experiences, and from different jurisdictions with different practices. But we are on a journey of change, a journey of continuity, and we know we are not there yet, but we know where we are going, and that's very important. That we know where we are going, so we keep those goalposts in mind, and we keep working towards ensuring that wherever a child is, if the child can only access the lowest centers in terms of fee paying, we want to ensure it's of high quality. And that's where to ensure that equity is there.
Okay, I want to give you both an opportunity for some closing comments as well. We'll start with you, Ms. Bawden.
Okay, thank you. I'm just encouraging you all to submit your applications for Ecap before the end of June, and the contact details are 244-3155 or 936-0267. Can email ecap@gov.ky, ecap@gov.ky, or WhatsApp 936-0267. All right,
Excellent.
and we are here to help and assist. If you find it overwhelming process, then please give us a call, and we will see how we can assist you.
Okay, Dr. Henry?
Well, the same thing that Ms. Darba said, so beautifully, I was going to say. But I encourage everyone to apply. Don't doubt yourself. Even though, as Ms. Darba said before, you look through the form and you may feel like, I'm not qualified, give a call just to see, because there may be things that can be clarified. And apply as early as possible. All right, and then spread the news within your community. So if you're listening this morning, and you know someone who may benefit, spread the news so that persons can access. As we said, we don't have a limitless amount of funding, but we want to ensure that whatever we have is well used this year and spent to ensure our children have access.
Excellent. I want to thank you all very much, for being here. Thank you for the great job that you do in terms of providing the services to the most vulnerable in our society as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will have Dr. Steve McField in the studio with us still. We will be talking about the Judicial Council. Judicial Committee of the Privy Council's upcoming decision, 14th of March, Monday, not only in relation to the Cayman Islands, but a case in Bermuda as well. Like I said, most news entities here in the Cayman Islands have been quite mum about the subject, but I'm sure next week it's going to be a hugely debated topic as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after this short commercial break.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Government's new recruitment portal offers job seekers a paperless online process that makes it easy to apply for more than one job anywhere, anytime. With this step forward in our online recruitment presence, you can keep track of outstanding applications and appointments and receive notifications about your applications. Visit the careers.gov.ky portal and use the new one-stop shop for civil service recruitments to further your career.
Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center invites you to join them on Sunday, April 3rd for their 2nd annual Turtle Crawl 5K Walk and Run. All funds raised from the event will support the conservation of green sea turtles in the Cayman Islands. So come on out and show your support. The 2nd annual Turtle Crawl 5K Walk and Run. Learn more and register now at www.turtlecrawl.ky. Proudly sponsored by HSM, Rotary Central, Advanced Fire Services, Gatorade, and Radio Cayman.
Come join the viewing party for the 70th edition of the International Miss World Pageant live from Puerto Rico. Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. Cayman, Camana Bay. Hosted by the Miss World Cayman Islands Committee. Meet our past Miss World Queens and learn more about the Miss World Cayman Pageant and Girl Power Cayman. All are invited. Join us at the Miss World Viewing Party, Cayman, Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. See you there.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. He stepped out for a second. He will be back in the studio in a few minutes. Meanwhile, we do have a caller on hold, so we're going straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Right here. Sorry. Yeah, I'm calling regarding the preschools.
Mm-hmm.
Those preschools normally, you have single parents that probably sometimes they have to go to work really early in the morning. and they can't afford to pay someone to take care of or to care for their children while they're going to work to like get them off to school and so forth. So I think those preschools needs to open up like at least 6 o'clock in the morning. Or I don't know. I think right now we get to the situation we need a 24-hour nursery and daycare preschool, because you have some single parents that has to work at night and they can't afford no one to take care of their children also. And, you cannot blame the children for what's going on. And, you know, you got some fathers that refuses to give their children, refuses to work because they don't want to support their children, and putting them in Northwood prison and feeding them 3 meals a day, shit shave and no rules to obey, doesn't help the situation. That's no more money that government is having to spend on a deadbeat father when they could be taking that money and helping that single mother to help raise that child. But what I'm saying now is that these schools, preschools, are operated under partly private. Private people is one of those preschools, maybe NCVO, probably, I don't know how that one, that's probably more government or whatever. And those preschools are getting funding from or making money off the government, because if parents can't afford to pay for schooling for their children, they have to go through a process through education department. And sometimes, I don't know how much exactly that they do, but I know it used to be something like $450 or $550 or something like that they used to do before. And if you
yeah, I think all of that was covered by the two ladies here this morning. Yes.
If a single parent can't afford to pay the balance of that money, what happens to the child?
Well, they did point out that if there are extenuating circumstances, special circumstances, it is something that can be discussed. Of course, it is a means testing program that is in place, so they're going to look at all of the details, they're going to verify them, and if it is a situation where that parent may need additional assistance, then they did indicate that there is some flexibility there. But we have to bear in mind also that, yeah, not everyone is on equal footing, on the same footing, but and those who are genuinely unable to cover everything, I'm sure that there are provisions there for them to help those. But those who can should not be leaning on the government to do so.
Yeah, but I'm saying also is that if they're paying, say they're charging $550 a month, that's what the education department is giving, or government. You can't be in the private schools or the private preschools and charging more than what the government is charging. You can't charge more than that, because, I mean...
Yes, they can. Well, it depends on what service that they're offering. Some people may be able to afford it. Some people can't. But you may, like they pointed out, there are some places where the fees are higher, and I guess that has a lot to do with the service that they provide or the clientele that they're trying to attract. I understand what you're saying in terms of the fact that maybe there should be a level playing field. So, but that is usually not the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, just one more second there.
Yeah, very quickly, please. Very quickly.
Yeah, if the government is giving $550 per month for preschool or for parents, right? And these parents normally goes through process to say, well, they can't afford it. They can't afford that. But yet, at the end of the time, now when they get that process $550, they go to the preschool and say, you got to pay extra money. You got to pay more. You got to pay $100 more than what education department approved. So what happens? What says the education department approving it, and then when the parent gets to the preschool, they charge them an extra $100. If they can't pay that money, then they can't pay that money, that child can't come to school.
Well, that's why it's going to be important for you to ensure that you know exactly what the requirements and what that particular school that you're looking at, preschool that you're looking at, what their fees are, what they're going to be required, because you're going to sometimes have to, cut your cloth, to fit the suit, to fit you.
Well, how I see this, Mr. OC right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to tell you the truth. And mostly when you check it out, it's all grassroots Caymanians. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
North side is born internals and also no discrimination. Is basically who is suffering and can't come out of school with a decent education. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at this right now. Government needs to take over this. Government needs to take over this preschool. All children can go to school and have an education, and who do not.
But that's exactly what they're doing. That's what the program is all about, ma'am. Yes. That's what it's all about. I'm gonna ask you to leave us there because we're trying to accommodate another caller before we go to a commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. Happy Friday to you and the studio partners.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning. And same to you.
This is Jean calling to basically highlight my experience at HSA the other day. An amazing experience. So I had a surgery on Tuesday, and I'm telling you, we had a delay because of whatever technical difficulties. And I can only say first class, as Mr. Mandisa would say, and second to none. Everybody, all the security passed by. Good morning. Is everybody okay? Because we had to be waiting outside. The staff, in the operating theater, the doctors, the nurses, and so often we get the complaints, or people are not doing. We need to start to look at where we are and how best we can celebrate the positive.
Yes.
Gone are the days when we go all around be negative, because it's not going to help us. It's not healthy. So I want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to the hospital staff, to the security members, and all the personnel there, because they have worked. Some of them are working long hours. And you know what? I decided I wanted to bless them. So lunch was on Miss Jean, and it was nothing. No matter what pain I was going through, whatever happened, I need to say thank you, and I wanted to do that.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm glad that you had your surgery was successful as well. But it is always good to hear the positives, because we hear so much of the negatives when things go bad. But
I know,
yes.
and I'm listening to the CAP. Kudos to the government for allowing some of our students to get something. It is where we are, and we have to be grateful for the small things. So, everything that we do surround something positive will allow us to live a better and healthier life. It's too much negativity. This morning, I got a message on my phone. My granddaughter, who represented the COP26, was on a panel with some experts representing Cayman and just speaking. And I said, you know what? This is what we're talking about. Let our voices be heard, but let it be something that resonates with every person in this world. Leave all the negatives behind. It's not going to do us any good. We have so much to be thankful for. Use Ukraine. Use what's happening there. Use what's happening in Jamaica with all the killing. Let's look at the positives in our little rock and find a way to make somebody smile. So, again, thank you for all you have done. Thank you for your service over the years. Thank you for where you sit right now. And kudos to all the persons who are making a difference in this Cayman Islands. Have a great Friday. Happy International Women's Day to all the women. So we must go past discrimination, the bias and everything, and do what we can as ladies to make this a better country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your service as well. You have done so much to assist the people of the Cayman Islands as well. So thank you for your service also.
And I just want to, guess what? I learned from the best. In your days, it was a no-nonsense approach, and I respect you for being an honorable, humble gentleman. O.C. Connor, only one of you. Have a great day. Take care. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Doc, we have 1 minute before we can go to headline news. And so what I'm going to start off with by saying that on the website for the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, future judgments, under future judgments. So if you have an interest in this, first of all, you can Google jcpc.uk. Once you open up their homepage, you will find a section that says news. Click on to news, and you will see something, a title, or a heading, future judgments. And then it says the Supreme Court and the JCPC then it says Monday the 14th of March 2022, 11 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. The judgments in the cases below will be promulgated, and then they have in parenthesis, not delivered in court. Doc, I don't know if in 30 seconds you can tell us what promulgated means.
Well, the cases will be published, but it's not they will not be published orally in court. They will be published by giving the judgment, the paper judgment, to distribute them to the different parties, and they put them on the website then for people to see.
Okay, and two of those cases, one, they and another, who are the appellants, versus the governor of the Cayman Islands and another respondent, Cayman Islands. And then there's also Attorney General for Bermuda, who's the appellant, Ferguson and others, the respondents, Bermuda. The justices, we'll tell you about that afterwards. Top of the hour headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, the conversation will continue. Please stay tuned.
Radio Cayman, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
60 new cases of COVID-19 are registered on Tuesday and Wednesday in Cayman. There are 631 estimated active cases. 5 patients are currently hospitalized for COVID-related causes, and the number of deaths attributed to COVID has risen to 22. Several new cities in Ukraine have been struck for the first time since the Russian invasion. President Zelensky, in a late-night address, has roundly rejected claims by Russia that Ukraine is developing chemical weapons. The U.S. has called such claims, quote, laughable, and says they are a false flag to justify Russia's potential use of similar weapons against Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has backed plans to send volunteer fighters to help Russian-backed forces in Ukraine. Russian forces have moved 3 miles closer to the capital in the past 24 hours. Peace talks between the foreign ministers of Ukraine and Russia and Turkey ended without any progress towards a ceasefire. Facebook and Instagram have changed their rules to, quote, temporarily allow calls for violence against Russian troops or Putin. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McPhail. So in the Day case, Day and another, who are the appellants, versus the governor of the Cayman Islands and another respondent, Lord Reed, Lord Hodge, Lady Arden, Lord Salas, and Dame Victoria Sharp are the justices who heard the case. Those are the same justices who heard the Bermuda case as well. So they have indicated now, Doc, that they are going to publish their decision on Monday. So I want you to we want to go about reminding our audience what this case is all about. It's been over a year since it was actually heard by the Privy Council, so some people may have forgotten what it is all about, which they shouldn't, because it is so important to us here in the Cayman Islands. So what was you want to tell us what the issue was in relation to the case itself?
Well, according to the case summary,
yes,
which is published also on the Privy Council website, it says, case summary, the issue: does the Bill of Rights in the Constitution of the Cayman Islands provide a right for Miss Day and Miss Bush to access the institution of marriage? That was the first question. And the second issue was, if so, should the order of the Grand Court of the Cayman Islands, which modified the marriage law so as that marriage law defined means marriage, the union between two parties as one another spouses, be restored, and the facts that around the issue was.
Okay, if I can ask you to pause for a second. So those are the two
issues
that
were argued before the court.
So, question: I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were talking about the fact that Section 81 of the Constitution may come up in this. The Privy Council was restricted to these two issues.
These two issues,
and
yes.
You don't think that they can stray beyond the bounds of that to include other things?
They may be, but it wouldn't be what we call the ratio descendante of the case. It would be, by the way, something is said, by the way. But it wouldn't be the issue in which the case is arises or falls. It's not the matter in which the judgment, which the case was argued, and the judgment would not be on Section 81. They may mention it, and their judgment as they go along, but it would not be based on whether that's right or wrong.
Yes, got you. Okay. So tell us about the facts in the case.
So the brief facts of the case is that Miss Chantel Day and Miss Vicky Borden Bush are two adult women in committed relationships. They live with their daughter in the Cayman Islands and wish to marry there in 2018. The deputy registrar refused their application for the appropriate marriage license on the basis that the marriage law of the Cayman Islands defines marriage between the union between a man and a woman as husband and wife. Miss Day and Miss Bush sought to challenge the marriage law and the deputy registrar's decision as compatible with the Bill of Rights on the Constitution of the Cayman Islands. They were successful at first instance. The Grand Court of the Cayman Islands found there to be a violation of their rights to private and family life. Their freedom of conscience and freedom of to manifest their belief in marriage and their freedom from discrimination in the enjoyment of their rights. The court exercised the power under the Constitution to modify the marriage law so as that marriage was defined to mean the union between two people as one another's spouses. The Deputy Registrar and the Attorney General appealed successfully against that decision of the Court to the Court of Appeal of the Cayman Islands, which decided that the right to marry under the Cayman's Constitution does not extend to same-sex couples. The Court of Appeal did, however, declare that Miss Day and Miss Bush were entitled to legal protection functionally equivalent to marriage. And Miss Day and Miss Bush now then appealed to the Privy Council, to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. Those are the summary of the facts on the two issues. Does the Bill of Rights in the Constitution of the Cayman Islands provide a right to Miss Day and Miss Bush to access the institution of marriage? And if so, should the order of the Grand Court of the Cayman Islands, which modified the marriage law so as that marriage is defined to mean the union between two people as one another's spouse, be restored. That's the issue before that was before the Privy Council. Now, it's very interesting to note that the Privy Council judgment usually take 8 to 9 months after the hearing. This judgment took 1 year and 1 month. 13 months.
Yes, because it was heard. The hearing date was the 23rd of February.
That's right. That's right.
And the hearing finish date was the 24th of February.
That's right.
So one day, basically 2 days,
yes.
they heard it.
That's right. Okay. That's right. So now, the Bermuda case now is a little different from the Caymanian case.
Yes.
Because in the Bermuda case, it was the Attorney General that appealed, not the couple.
Yes,
it was the Attorney General of Bermuda that appealed. What
was the issue in that case? Do you have that available there, or you want me to read that?
Yeah, you could read that from your computer. Yes.
So the issue with the Bermuda case was whether Bermuda legislation providing that only marriage between a man and a woman will be recognized as such in law infringes the Bermuda Constitution. So again, I'll repeat that. Whether Bermudan legislation providing that only marriages between a man and a woman will be recognized as such in law, and whether that infringes the Bermudan Constitution. So the facts in that particular case are the Bermuda Parliament passed the Domestic Partnership Act 2018, which provided for same-sex couples to enter into domestic partnerships and declared that a marriage is void unless the parties are respectively male and female. The respondents being individuals affected by the legislation and a Bermudan church which supports and conducts same-sex marriages applied to the Supreme Court of Bermuda for a declaration that the provisions of the 2018 Act, which purported to revoke same-sex marriage, convene the Bermudan Constitution. The Supreme Court of Bermuda ruled in favor of the respondents, holding that Section 53 of the 2018 Act contravenes Sections 8 and 12 of the Bermuda Constitution. The Court of Appeal for Bermuda allowed the Attorney General appeal only in part, holding that Section 53 of the 2018 Act contravened Section 8, but not Section 12 of the Constitution. But the court also held that Section 53 was void on the grounds that it was enacted for a religious purpose. The Attorney General now appeals to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. The respondents are seeking to cross-appeal for a declaration that the 2018 Act contravenes Section 12 of the Constitution. So we have a cross-appeal in the Bermuda case as well.
Yes.
Can you explain that part, Doc?
Well, what happened?
What a cross-appeal?
What a cross-appeal is that when one person wins, the couple, the same-sex couple appeal the case. And then
the Supreme Court, and
to
they
the
won
Supreme
there.
Court,
yes,
and they won. And then and then the government now cross appeal that now to the Privy Council.
Okay.
That is how that's done.
Got you.
So Lord Panic, QC, was the who acted for the couple for the couple. His argument was that the ban was, as you said, Section 53 of the Act was unconstitutional and was not a reasonable law. It didn't have a reasonable aim. And Jonathan Chr, QC, who acted for the Attorney General of Bermuda, said the legislation ban was not discriminatory and that it was and it didn't contravene the Constitution. And so those are the issues before the Privy Council right now that the Privy Council heard.
Okay.
So we'll see. In our case, it was whether the Grand Court decision of defining marriage as between two people as one other's spouses. In the Bermuda case, it was legislation.
Yes.
That they say was unconstitutional. Here in the Cayman, they say it was the Mr. Smell is the Chief Justice judgment that was unconstitutional.
Yes.
and didn't amount to to allowing the couples to be married as husband and wife.
So if we look at the Bermuda and Cayman, in the Bermuda case, what the Bermuda Parliament did was they passed legislation afterwards to try to counter the decision that was made by the Supreme Court.
Yes, that's what they did. Yes.
In our case, we passed legislation, but we passed legislation as an olive branch to basically say that we have done this much by implementing domestic partnerships legislation in the Cayman Islands. And not only that, but we also asked the appellants who were successful to hold off in terms of doing anything until the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council had dealt with it. And they agreed to that, and they've been patient and waited for that. So when we return now, we're going to talk more practicality than anything else. There are those of us who felt that both decisions would be rendered at the same time.
Yes.
And for whatever reasons. So we want to discuss that a little bit. Also, in speaking to someone yesterday who would normally be in the know, I asked the question as to whether or not the parties who are involved in this appeal to the Privy Council, whether or not at this point in time they would be privy to the decision. And that person said that they would normally be at least provided with a draft of the decision to look it over, to review it for accuracy, which means that if that is the case, that they're probably prevented from saying anything about it, even though at this point in time they may know. And you, as an attorney, I want you to talk about those things as well. We have the expert right in the room this morning. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Calling all amateur bakers in the Cayman Islands. Celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Taking part in the Cayman Islands Platinum Cake Competition. His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper invites you to submit your homemade dessert recipe to the Governor's office by April 3rd. Win a chance to have your dessert recreated for the Queen's birthday party in June. Do you have what it bakes? Well, submit today at gov.ky/Jubilee.
For the record with Chr.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record with Chr continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. We are discussing the fact that on Monday at 11 Greenwich Mean Time in the United Kingdom, the Privy Council will publish their judgment in relation to the Day case here in the Cayman Islands, Day Borden case, and also the case in Bermuda as well, the Bermuda government appealing decision by the Supreme Court of Bermuda there as well. So, Doc, both cases were heard in February, and many people, including myself, said both judgments are going to come out at the same time.
Yes, you said that. You made that proclamation or that declamation on this this very radio station.
Yeah. Now, while the two cases are different in terms of facts and everything else, at the end of the day, the center of the argument has to do with the right
to marry, whether the
the
Constitution of Bermuda
same-sex marriage
and the Constitution of the Cayman Islands offer the right to two people of the same sex to be married.
Yes,
that is usually the question.
And while our two constitutions are different, because we know that they've always said that Bermuda's constitution was a pre-independent constitution.
Yes.
But at the same time, I would argue that our constitution, the 2009 Constitution Order, that we see where, and that one not being a pre-independence constitution, that we have made progress in many areas in terms of our 2009 Constitution.
It was far advanced.
And Bermuda, in some instances, would argue that they wish that they had some of the provisions that we have in our Constitution as well. So while the two constitutions are different, I believe that it would be almost contradictory to say that, and tell me if I'm wrong, I probably am wrong, to say that the Bermuda one constitution allows it and the other one doesn't allow it. Is that possible? Because they're looking at constitutions as opposed to the universal right that we.
It's the Constitution. They look into the words in the Constitution that allows it, or whether it allows.
So
it
there is that possibility that
there's a possibility. There's a possibility. And as you said, you spoke to someone some time ago, recently, and they said they had a summary of the case.
No, they said that they would. I asked them whether or not the parties involved would be privy to the judgment already, and they said that they probably would have been provided with a copy of it to comment on accuracy. And that would be it. So would they now be under some sort of if they do have it, would they be under some sort of a gag order?
Yes.
Because isn't it usual before you go public with a decision that the parties who are litigating, that they know exactly what the decision is.
Yes, usually they would have it, and then they would ask you to go over to make the inaccuracies before it's fully signed by the judge, who gave the decision, before it's fully signed by the judge who gave the decision, so officially signed by the judge who gave the decision, and published, promulgated. Before that usually happens. That did not happen in these cases because I guess that would, because of the seriousness of the matters, they're not the seriousness, but the importance of the matters, that they would not want that to happen before before the judgment is given officially on Monday. I think so, and I think so. If that happened, that's the reason why that the person who would have the copy of the sum of the judgment to ascertain whether there are any inaccuracies that would have some sort of legal gag order that they cannot reveal what the outcome would be or what the outcome is already. But if they knew, and then the other thing about the two cases, that the Bermuda Gazette published the cost to the Bermuda government of the hearing before the Privy Council for those 2 days. And it cost something like $400,000 Bermuda dollars.
And I think one of the reasons that they published that also is to show they feel that the government is wasting public funds on an issue that at the end of the day that there seems to be more and more public support behind the concept of same-sex marriages in Bermuda.
Yes, and one of the reasons why. Of course, we know now one of the reasons why we passed why we use Section 801 here to pass the Same-Sex Partnership Act law in Cayman is because the Court of Appeal stated not part of the judgment,
right?
But the Court of Appeal stated that they and Bush should have some sort of protection equivalent to marriage.
Yes.
And that is the reason why the governor used his discretion to use Section 801 to bring that legislation in.
Now, would that have any bearing whatsoever on the Privy Council's decision, the fact that the government of the Cayman Islands has relented to the extent that they have passed a domestic partnership legislation, which is sort of like, holding out the olive branch, but not necessarily, giving you the whole, the full Monty.
Although it states that it is equivalent to marriage, it is not marriage. It's not marriage because remember now, they and Bush is still saying that they want to be married, but what they have is a partnership. That issue is not before the Privy Council. The issue before the Privy Council was whether or not the Constitution of the Cayman Islands allows people of the same sex to be married, and whether or not Mr. Smelly's judgment, where he interpreted the Constitution, changed the Constitution to mean that the marriages between these two people did not contravene the Constitution, is right or wrong, but it's not what the governor did. That comes after the fact. That was not argued before the Privy Council.
Now, depending on what the judgment is at the end of the day, the Privy Council is the final court.
Yes.
Now we have seen, let's say, if we use the United States as an example, and the Supreme Court there, and the whole issue of abortion, and we now see the Republicans bringing cases wanting to get a decision back to the Supreme Court, despite Roe versus Wade.
Yes.
To make inroads, into that decision, and possibly, and for them, hopefully, to have it overturned at the end of the day. Once that final judgment is given by the Privy Council here, is there any way to get a case back to the Privy Council again, if for any aggrieved party in this instance?
You mean?
Not by way of appeal again, but
No, I don't see. I think It is my opinion that when we get that judgment on Monday, the Privy Council will have sealed that. All four corners of that judgment will be sealed to the point that you will not be able to bring an issue back like that to the Privy Council. They will have dealt with it once and for all. That's the reason why they took so long, I believe, to give the judgment. They have looked at it from every angle. And remember now, the Privy Council is not the same as the Supreme Court in the United States. Because one of the reasons why you get different judgments in the Supreme Court in the United States is because of the jurisprudence of the different judges. That is why now the President Biden now is trying to get this liberal judge now appointed to the bench to counteract the conservative arm of the court. That doesn't happen in England. There's no conservative and liberal arm of the Privy Council. So you're not going to have different judgments. You might have dissension, but you're not going to have different philosophies in the judgment. And so it seems to me that your question about whether or not it might leave it open for other cases to go to the Privy Council on the same subject. I think they're going to cover this now. This is going to set the precedents for the Commonwealth, or not only the Commonwealth, but the Commonwealth countries now who still have the Privy Council as their final court of appeal.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Doc, when we return, I want to continue down those lines there, because there are British overseas territories that are in the process. For instance, the British Virgin Islands that are in the process of negotiating new constitutions, and of course, or at least to amend their constitutions. And of course, one of the things that the UK is going to insist on is that there are a Bill of Rights that are enshrined in those. That's right. I would imagine, well, when we come back, I want to, based on what you say just now, what impact this decision may have in terms of the rewriting of constitutions and rewriting of the Bill of Rights as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
JN Money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
The Ministry of Planning would like to remind the community that Cardinal Avenue will be closed to vehicular traffic from Monday, 14th of March, to facilitate the Business District Enhancement Project. Motorists can continue to access Central Georgetown from Seafarers Way via Fort Street or Mary Street. Cardinal Avenue remains open to foot traffic for access to shops, cafes, and businesses. For more information and project updates, follow the Georgetown Revitalization Initiative on Facebook and Instagram.
For the record with Chr.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record with Chr. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome Back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. We're discussing the Privy Council's decision on the Bermuda and the Cayman Islands case in relation to same-sex marriage and the respective constitutions and decisions made therein. That will take place on Monday the 14th. And I guess we're all waiting with bated breath to see exactly what that decision will be. No doubt, whatever the decision, there will be reactions one way or the other in relation to it. But like you've pointed out before, Doc, whatever decision that is made here is going to be impactful and long-lasting.
It's going to be impactful and long-lasting and on those countries in the Commonwealth who still have the Privy Council as their final court of appeal. It's going to be impacted, and it might be advisory also to those people who don't have the Privy Council as their final court of appeal. They might be advisory to them. So the question is, I wonder how many Caymanian people are wondering whether the Privy Council is going to allow them to be married or not in Cayman. That's the question. Whether they're going to say yes, they can be married in Cayman, or whether they say no, they cannot be married in Cayman. Whether they're going to uphold the court of appeal judgment, or whether they are going to say yes that they can be married. That's the problem. That's what everybody's going to be waiting for. I'm going to be waiting to see that see that too.
And if the rule,
I'm going to read the back of the
start from the last part, which is where the decision is, and then go back into the reasons after that.
Yes.
Otherwise, it can be. I remember when reading actually Justice Smelly's opinion, on his decision.
Yes.
Yeah. I was reading for hours. You're reading for hours, and then when you think that, here is what the conclusion, then it goes on to to something else.
Yes.
But so before we went to the break, we were talking about other overseas territories that are looking to rewrite their constitutions and their Bill of Rights. If, let's say, for argument's sake, that same-sex marriages are allowed, it's going to be extremely difficult, or I would say virtually impossible, for any overseas territories negotiators to negotiate with the UK to have it put into their constitution, to not allow it. And we know many, some of them are strongly against same-sex marriages.
That's right, and they're strongly against same-sex marriage from a religious basis, not on a legal basis, but on a religious basis. They're strongly against same-sex marriage. So it's going to be very difficult when they are negotiating a new constitution to have a Bill of Rights, which is going to allow same-sex marriage in their jurisdictions. I don't know how they are going to do that. Whether the British government is going to allow that not to happen, or it's going to be just by case law, allowed by case law, or whether it should be enshrined in the constitutions and the new constitution that they are going to make. Because we would have to if they say it's in a constitution already, then that it can be interpreted. Then I don't know, but if they say that we have to have it in our constitution, blah blah, we have to amend our constitution to have it. That's going to be something in Cayman that's not going to go down well.
And okay, and then on this point now, if same-sex marriages are allowed in the Cayman Islands, so we would have had the interpretation of the Constitution that the Chief Justice has made. That would have to be amended then. That was my question.
Yes.
Do we now need to go back now and amend that particular section of the Constitution so that it clearly reflects the judgment of the
judgment? Yes, there would have to be. We have to go back to England.
I hope Billy's listening. Where's Billy? We haven't heard from him in a few days. Is it too cold over in Canada or what? Yes. Billy, give us a shout. We want to hear your views on this as well if you're listening to us. Doc, over to you.
So that would be something. We would have to amend that section We would have to. I think it's in section 6. What's it? Section. Let me see. What section is it in? I think it's marriage.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find it at the same time that you're looking for it there as well. We don't want to have too much silence on the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay. Do they talk about a particular? Well, Section 81 was mentioned, but that's not. It's
It's in the Bill of Rights.
Bill of Rights, yes.
It's in the Bill of Rights. It's life. I'll find it in a minute.
Okay, well, we can talk about other things until we get to that. So we know in Cayman, Doc, that there's we'll find it during the commercial break. We know that there's going to be a blame game in the Cayman Islands, irrespective of which way.
Section 14.
Okay, which way the okay, I'll let you deal with that, and then we can talk about the blame game and what's going to happen next week.
So let's go back to Section 14 again.
Yeah.
So we can to make it relevant for this argument.
Okay.
Section 14 states, government shall respect the right of every unmarried man and woman of marriageable age as determined by law, freely to marry a person of the opposite sex and found a family.
Mm-hmm.
No person shall be compelled to marry without his or her free and full consent. Nothing in any law or done under this authority shall be held to contravene subsection 1 to the extent that the law makes provisions that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society, in the interest of public order, public morality, or public health, for regulating, if in the public interest, the procedure and modalities of marriage, or for protecting the rights and freedoms of others. Spouses shall be entitled to equal rights and shall be subject to equal responsibilities as between themselves and as regards their children, both during and after marriage, but this equality of rights and responsibilities shall be subject to such arrangements or measures as may be agreed or as may be ordered by a court in the interest of their children. All that means is that they shall be equal rights, subject to equal responsibilities as between themselves. If they make for instance, what is called, if you have a consent, or if you agree to the rights that each one will have, and you sign that is what you would go by.
Okay.
If you can't have what we call a consent order, then if the judge makes an order, those are rights and responsibilities that you have to be that you have to go by, and then it says those orders must be in the interest of each of their children. So in other words, the child is first and paramount when it comes to the rights after marriage.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
In other words, what they talk about after divorce.
Okay.
Yes.
So, the blame game. The other thing that we need to bear in mind also that we also amended the marriage law in the Cayman Islands, for some clarity. Remember when that change was made, marriage between one man and one woman.
That's right.
And at that time, the legislators thought that by amending the marriage law, making it quite clear in the marriage law that they were out of the woods, as far as clarity is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to our audience the fact that despite what the law says, the law can't trump the Constitution?
That's right. The legislators try to change the marriage law so that it could be equal and it could overcome the difficulties of marriage as we just define in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the marriage law is subject to the Constitution. So when they did that, they could not get out of the woods. They put themselves further in the forest, And as they say, you couldn't see the forest for the trees. So the problem that they have now is that they is by changing the marriage law to do that now, they have what we say, they have backed up into the Constitution. They have run afoul of the Constitution, and the Constitution now is the supreme law, as the Privy Council has rightly said too. I mean that was the argument. Because Mr. Smelly tried to change the Constitution to make it read something different from what it was, and that's the question now that we will
because that the Court of Appeals ruled on that.
Ruled on that, yes, yes.
So likewise, if the Privy Council's decision is to in favor of day pardon, we may have to go back and amend the marriage law as well.
And Section 14 too. We will have to amend the marriage law and Section 14 of the Bill of Rights. We would have to amend that too. Because you remember what it says. The first thing it says, government shall respect the right of every unmarried man and woman of marriageable age as determined by law. So they
need to change that now to person?
Yeah.
Or
likely to marry a person of the opposite sex and found a family. You see it? So it would have to say freely to marry a person of the opposite sex or the same sex and form a family. They would have to put that, insert something like that in there.
So this, like we said earlier, this long-awaited decision, this decision that took the Privy Council so long, in addition to the fact that we had COVID, so many other cases, we saw other cases that went to the Privy Council after this.
Yes.
Is it because they had to touch so many bases because of so many complications in it? Do we believe that is why? In addition to the fact that we believe that they wanted to be consistent in terms of their decision, Bermuda and the Cayman Islands.
Yes, I think they want to be uniform and consistent, and not give two different judgments that could lead to more complications, that could lead to more cases come before the Privy Council. I think that's the reason.
So this wasn't as simple a case as we believe that it was.
No, it's not. It's not. It's a case of it has constitutional magnitude, and it's very, very important.
Okay, folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
New to Cayman, the Cayman Documentary Festival. Real world problems, real world solutions. 5 documentaries, 5 discussion panels. March 16th to the 20th at the Camana Bay Cinema. Documentaries include domestic abuse, environmental protection, mental health awareness, technology and finance, and music and heritage. Tickets available at fanango.com for $25. Funds benefiting Plastic Free Cayman, Crisis Center Cayman, Alex Panton Foundation, NCVO, and Cayman Arts Festival. The Cayman Documentary Festival. Real world problems, real world solutions. March 16th to the 20th at the Camana Bay Cinema.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Mama, Dada, Anna, Uncle, please go get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of yourself. You're the reason I got vaccinated.
You must practice social distancing and proper hand hygiene and never forget your mask. Help me, help you. Get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of conditions that make you vulnerable. Get boosted. We're in this together.
Visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn more.
For the record, with Chr.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Coming back. Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. We do have a caller, so we're going straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Not bad. I think the UK and the Europeans speak with a forked tongue, and I don't think they should be trusted, because we went through a long exercise to get a document that was suitable for our situation. And now, as I listen to your show, the document that we thought suited our situation, they're going to force us to change because of their own misguided perceptions about the physical realities of male and female. And it's kind of, I mean, this is a global problem. The system that we live under, there's so much deceit, there's so much deception that is taking place, and dishonesty amongst those who proclaim to be leaders, that people have become tired of the system that governs the West. I think we're going to pay a serious price for going down a road that is not rooted in science. It's rooted in other things. But I just find it interesting that...
What that road is that you're referring to?
Look at the turmoil that's happening in the world. There are some people like Putin. He rejects the idea of democracy. I like the idea of democracy, but when democracy is used in a way in which people are deceptive, when you have a system that allows deception to take place, the UK is telling us, "Oh, this is cool." Now they're telling us. Now, what I'm hearing that Mr. McPhail is saying is that we're going to be made to change the very thing that we thought was okay.
Quite possibly, depending on the decision. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, I think what he said, which is that they might want to be consistent with what they did in Bermuda. Well, that tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, and caller, if I may, I would say that when we were negotiating our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, if it were left up to the United Kingdom and their negotiators and their minister who had to give the nod of approval, when it comes to the definition of marriage and everything else, we wouldn't be where we are today, because it would already have been in the Bill of Rights. So I don't believe that they were deceptive in that sense, other than the fact that they probably went along and they're saying under their breath, we will let you do what you want to do in terms of having this in the legislation. We'll try to help you to word it in such a way that it may withstand any legal scrutiny, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the courts who are going to decide whether or not
that is.
That's a
long-winded way of saying deception.
Yes. I actually believe that because in England now they're getting ready to change their Bill of Rights. They're getting to amend it, their Bill of Rights. They're making lots of amendments to it. The fact that they are not going to follow the precedents of Strasbourg, the courts in Strasbourg. They are not going to follow the European courts on the Bill of Rights, on the European Convention of Human Rights. They're not going to follow those decisions anymore. That is the reason why I said what I said. They're not going to be following those decisions anymore. The final court of appeal now in England will be the English Supreme Court, as the final court of appeal for the Commonwealth is the Privy Council. If that happens, you see, there are a lot of changes that are going to be made. Some changes might have to be made in our Constitution to follow the Bill of Rights. And one of the changes that I said that they're making in England now is the process of deportation that they have. Mm-hmm. They have over nearly 75,000 people that they need to get rid of now, that they have deportation orders against them, and they cannot deport them because the deportees are using clause Article 8 of the European Bill of Rights to attack the deportation order. And when they go to court now, the judges are saying they have the right to family life. That has been applied to us too in Cayman, so forth. And the British government is amending all of those laws, all of those rights that people had, to say that that's not that you're not entitled to family life and so forth, and that we're not following the Court of Appeal, the Stratford courts, and that we have the right to do this to you, and that there's no place you can go but back to Britain. I think if they do that, Mr. Warren, that it's going to have some repercussions on us here. I know it will have some repercussions on us here.
Okay. And any final observations or comments?
Yes. What saddens me is that the Cayman Islands public is not even properly considering the necessity to look at independence, because these are going to have serious consequences on us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I just think that the degree of political immaturity that exists in the Cayman Islands is atrocious. I'll just leave it like that.
Well, Mr. Warren, I think for me, I don't even go there anymore now. I don't really think that anything I can say or do could move us from where we are. I don't even have that in my vocabulary anymore now.
I understand why slaves think like slaves, but that still don't make it the best option for us.
Mm-hmm. So the maturity that you speak about, I don't think we'll ever get it there. I don't think it'll ever happen to us.
Oh, no, I think it will, but I think it'll happen under the new Caymanians, not the existing Caymanians.
No, but yes. And that brings me to the job that Horace and I are doing. Every week I see the proliferation of people that's coming. It's like a tsunami.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem our people are just they don't. I don't know all of the reasons why, but to some extent, they're not taking these issues seriously, especially the constitutional stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and it's sad, like our schools, the degree to which we raise up children to understand the importance. You still hear the comment of, there's two things I don't talk about: politics and religion.
Mm-hmm. and the two most impactful things.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I watch Bloomberg and I see the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies spend a lot of their time thinking about politics, and they're making tons of money, and I'm asking myself, well, what is it that Caymanians don't understand about the importance of politics?
Good point.
Yeah. Yes.
Caller, I want to thank you very much. Hope to hear back from you after Monday. Of course, we have the show on Monday, but we'll be talking about other things, so I may have to wait until Wednesday to talk more about whatever decision is rendered by the Privy Council. It's extreme. I'm going to be just sitting on pins and needles between now and Monday.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Doc, I want to give you an opportunity for some closing comments before I close off.
Well, I think what the only caller we had on this subject said was very, very, very important. Mm-hmm. He is a person of insight. I don't know how is it because we don't care, or is it because we're lazy thinkers, or we just don't want to know, or what is it? I just don't know the lethargy that's taken us by storm, or is it just because we have reached the point where we're beaten down that we don't care, or is because of the education standard that don't allow us to raise to that next level? I don't know what it is, but it's something, and I feel it. But what I feel up and down the country is as a sort of anger in the sort of a country. Yes, I sort of anger. Yeah. I can see it in the way that people drive, and the way people deal with each other, and the way they speak, and so forth, and so forth. It seems to me that we've lost that foundation that grounded us, and that carried us all through the world, and the respect that people gave us. We seem to have lost that now, and it seems like people from our generation are the last of that kind of Caymanian, and it seems and that saddens me because I will go out of this world knowing that coming behind us there's not going to be that spirit. In other words, what I'm saying that nationalism that we had, that love for our country, is sort of fading, and that bothers me a lot. Even when I didn't know.
So do you believe that people have given up basically because they have resigned themselves to the fact that, irrespective of what they try to do to change things, that it's ineffective, whatever they're trying to do, that those with the power, those with the financial means, they're going to have their way at the end of the day?
Yes.
And so far they are having their way.
Yes, there's an old saying that say that the powerful will have their way, and the poor will carry the misery, something like that. I would say taken aback when these young ladies were there on your show. I think it was on your show, or it was certainly doing. He was still talking about the culture and their heritage. Why he said that we have to keep trying to keep that alive in our own home. That's the thing that bothers me. Why do I have to keep my culture and my tradition alive in my own home, and sort of making excuses for the reasons why I feel the way I feel about my culture, myself, and my home? Why is it that I have to do that?
Yeah, Doc, I want to thank you very much for being here this morning. Look forward sometime next week. We're going to have to find some time, make some time somewhere, to discuss that decision that is going to come out on Monday as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient.
You are listening to